Okay, so yes, this is working, and this is another session where we are going to be working on. Well, I'm going to be showing you. Actually, I'm just streaming what I'm working on in my project. So this is one of the projects that I'm working on. It's Agents Tower. It's an AI agents observability platform, an API, and it basically allows you to see how much you are spending in your with your AI agents, and also to add a stop for when they are spending more than what you are expecting to. So yeah, that's Agents Tower. And yesterday I was having this error. I was showing you how to add. Well, I was doing how to add a file using a form to use it as a thumbnail for the blog articles of the platform. So we this is the error where I stopped in the yesterday's transmission because I needed to go and do some family things, some family responsibilities. But right now we are going to continue with this error. So in this in so right now I'm trying to add a thumbnail image to AWS from Amazon to an S3 bucket from AWS. So I'm getting this error. So it's getting the file, the path to store this file. It's telling me that is this, and I'm getting this error. The error it's in this line. So basically, to be honest, I haven't researched anything about this. I just want to share with you my thinking process and how we can debug something when we don't know what's happening. So if I did research before this, well, it's not going to be honest on, and I'm not going to be able to completely share what does it feels and how to go through a bug. So that's what I want to show right now. The process that anyone can follow to debug, in this case PHP, using the Laravel framework, and also using Cursor as our copilot or co-programmer. I don't know how we can call it. Okay, so I'm trying to add the thumbnail to AWS, and first I thought that I could add first I thought that the file was added to the AWS S3 bucket, but it's not adding it. So for example, if I show you in here my AWS bucket for this Agents Tower, as you can see, there's no object in here, so it's not even adding it. So let's see. Let's start by seeing what's going on. So yes, it is detecting that there's a file called thumbnail in the form that we are receiving in the backend, and so we are assigning that file to this variable, to file request file thumbnail. So then I'm using this method in the file variable to store it. But let's see if this is the correct way to do it. So I'm going to ask Cursor. I open this sidebar using Ctrl-Shift-L, and and I do it like this so that it adds to the context the line where I'm at. So I selected the line, Ctrl-Shift-L, and it's going to add it to the context, as you can see in here. So now I'm going to say I'm getting this error. So I could ask two things. First, I could say that I'm getting this error in the line 101, like this, or I can ask, what is this method doing? So if I ask better, ask what is the store method doing in this context? And it's going to explain to me what's going on. And it detected that it's a Laravel context. And so store in is a Laravel method for handling file uploads. It's being called on a file object, which is an instance of uploaded file that represents the uploaded thumbnail image. So the store method does several things. It takes the uploaded file and moves it to a storage location. It automatically generates a unique file name to prevent collisions. I don't know if I really want to do that, or if I'm going to let Laravel do that, or something that I'm going to do by my side. I usually do it by myself. Like, I, I am usually the one that adds it to the code because I didn't use this. So um, let's see what is it trying to do. And returns the path where the file is going to be stored. So let's see. Okay, so this is the subdirectory where the file is going to be stored, and this is the distance referring to the public disk configuration in Laravel's file system tool configuration. Okay, so yes, this is telling Laravel or the application that it's going to store the file. Oh, okay. Actually, the bug it's way easier than this, but let's see. I think it's easier than what's going on here. So let's see if it's being stored in here. So it's public. It says that it's going to be stored in storage, app, public, thumbnails. So as you can see, I think the image is being stored in here, but it's not showing anything, so I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it's really storing the image. Let's see if it adds anything else when I try to send the image. So let's continue. So now, yes, see that there's a new file in here. So it's actually trying to add this image in this same in this folder. That's not what I want. I don't want to store these images in my in the disk of this application, because it's not that secure. Because if there's a way to avoid the locks, the restrictions that I'm adding, that it's only an image, and if they can add like a virus or something to the file, well, I'm storing that file with all the other files from the application, including the environment variables. So this is one thing. This is one reason why it's not that secure. The other reason is that it can be slower to serve the images from the server instead than from CDN, like the one Amazon can offer us. And also it can have my disk can get like the space that I'm using for this application in the server can go really big. So if I start storing a lot of images, so that's why I don't want to do it. That is like 3 reasons. I'm for sure there are more, but those are only 3 reasons why I don't want to store it in here. So let's ask Cursor, and we are using Cloud 3.5. Maybe I can use, for this I will use GPT-4o. I don't know why it didn't. So I'm going to ask, can I use the store method to store the image in AWS S3 instead of storing it And I think you're not seeing this. Just let me move my screen, sorry, my webcam to the other place, like this. And so this is what I'm writing. So I'm going to actually add it here because I was showing you something right now in here. So I don't want to block you the site. And instead of storing it in my um, my server, let's see. And the other thing that I don't like about this method that I just realized, and that's why I haven't used it, like I haven't used this, so that's why I haven't noticed it before, is that it's changing all the name of the file, and I don't want that. I want the yes to have like it can be a timestamp or something like that, but I want to maintain the original name and add a timestamp just in case. But it is a good SEO practice to maintain the original name because that name is the title of the file. So if you are speaking, if you are, I don't know, if your article is something related to cursor or web design, well, if the name of the file is cursor web design, well, Google can interpret it as a signal um, for ranking that image and that article higher in the results. So that's why I don't want to change all of the name. I want to add something unique to each file name just to make sure that there's no overlap. So that's how I like to do it. Okay? So it's saying yes. So AWS. Okay, so I need to start AWS SDK for PHP. If you haven't already, you need to install the AWS SDK for PHP. Okay, so I can use Composer to install this. And it's telling me that I need to configure S3 in config file systems. Okay. Okay. So I already did this. Yes, I already have all of this, but I didn't change this. So in here, instead of using public, so let's open file systems. So file systems, it's saying disks, local, public, and S3. Okay. Yes. So it's using this one. So I want to use this one. So I'm going to use S3. Instead of using public, I'm going to use S3, and I also need to install this. So just a moment. Okay, so now if I go to my terminal and I go to this project, I'm going to write this Composer. I'm just going to, I don't know if I can copy it. So I think I can copy it. Okay, so Composer require league fly system AWS S3 B3 and so how do I write this? No, sorry. No. So I just so I don't know how to write this. So I'm going to search for it on the good old Google. So give me, how do you say it? Arrow keyboard, arrow pointing up. Okay, so mm, okay, so this is the one that I need. So now Stack Exchange is using um, Cloudflare. Maybe it has been using it way back in the day, but I think I have never gotten this um, like this that window when trying to access it. So I think it's that one. And now if I use 3.0, so let's see. So it's not. So that's not the. So why is it so difficult? I just want to have this arrow, like maybe. So how can I add it? To be honest, this is okay. So let's look for it. So alt code key arrow pointing up. So it's not an hour, it's like a triangle. It's not a triangle, it's like key greater than pointing up. Let's see. So where is this key? Why is it that I cannot find it? So what's the name of this? It's not possible that this is giving me this much trouble. So I think it's this one. Oh yes, I think it's that one. Oh, finally I got it. That was, to be honest, really stressful. Okay, so it's installing AWS SDK PHP for PHP. Okay, so so okay, the issue here that I didn't read it at the moment is not that it wasn't this method. It was that I don't have an article still to add to assign a thumbnail to the article. So that was the issue. I needed to do this like later on in here, something like this. So that was the issue in here, but we still need to add this file to ACE3, so we're going to do that first. Okay, so now if let's see if it gives me any error. I'm going to retry this. Okay, so the article was created. Let's see if so it wasn't added in here. So that's because I changed from public to S3. And let's see if it was added to my S3 bucket. Okay, so it was added. So as you can see in here, it created this folder thumbnails and it added this file. So if I open it and if I go to here, it's going to give me the preview, okay, of this file. So it did upload it. So okay, so now if you saw that, you can see that the image was saved with this name. That if you remember, sorry, I told you that I didn't want this name. So let's see if I can modify this. Okay, so it's thumbnails. Just a moment, let me see my environment variables, and I cannot show that in the screen. So okay, so store, it's creating this folder in S3 and it's adding this file to this folder. Let me ask if I can I stop the store method to modify all the file name. So there's okay, so yes, it's telling me that I can customize the file name when using the store method by using the store as method instead. The store as method allows you to specify the exact file name you want to use when storing the file. Here's how you can modify your code to use store as. Okay, so the file name is going to be, let's apply these changes and let's see how can I. Okay, so this is the name and this is the file name that's going to be used. Okay, so I'm going to accept the changes, but I don't want to use this. We're going to have this later on, maybe in here. And so this can be, we can initialize the variable as path equals null, and then this is going to be changed in here if there's a file. If there's no file, I think this is not going to give me an error. So I just need to validate that in a moment. So I'm going to leave it like this, just so it stops adding the article thumbnail in this in the top section of my code. Okay, so I'm going to customize the file in here. So what I want to do is, it's exactly this. Well, not exactly. It's not. Yes, we can use the title and add the time. So I'm going to do something. I want to see the time. So I just want to show the time. Let's see what is it going to give me. So if I go to, where is it? Okay, so if I just go in here and I go to articles, let's create a new article. So it's going to be called my article 2. So this is the body. Let's add a file. So it's this one and this. So let's save this. Okay, so this is the time. If I reload this, okay, so that the time is changing. So now I just want to I'm going to just add a byte dump in here to avoid the article, to avoid that the article is created just right now that we are doing the tests. So now I could add, for example, a trade user has API key. Okay. So we're going to add a trade in a moment. So article slug. Okay, so here's a slug. Okay, so I'm going to move this to here to check if the slug. Okay, so we are going to use the slug instead of the title, because the slug is already it's already removing. Okay, slug request title. So yes, this method, it's already doing the modifications that I want, to remove the spaces, to remove special characters, and to add a dash instead of spaces. So if I ask Cursor this, what does the slug method do? So it's telling me this: if you have hello world with an exclamation mark, it is going to remove the spaces, make them lowercase, add a dash where the spaces were, remove the special characters. So that's exactly what I want to do for the file name. So I'm going to move everything in here to the top. And I'm also going to move this just to, I'm going to do something like initialize variables. So I'm going to paste that and generate slug. Sorry, this is a Python comment. And right now we are in PHP. So generate slug exists, and if slug exists, okay. So we're going to use slug in here, and we are going to add the time just in case. And I mean, this is going to scale for my use case that it's just at maximum 3 people are going to have access to the dashboard, and not everyone is going to be adding thumbnail images to the articles. Not everyone is going to be creating articles. So I don't need to have something more complicated than this for what I'm trying to do. Maybe if you're Facebook, obviously if you're Facebook, X, Twitter, Instagram, all of those services, well, obviously they can have a lot of overlaps if they just maintain the files that are being uploaded to their servers using a method like this. But in this case, it doesn't matter for my application. So I'm just going to leave it like this. And I don't know if I need to maintain JPG, because they can upload a file with as this JPEG, PNG, and JPG. So I need to work on that. So it's not going to be always like this. So let's see, how can I do it? Okay. Okay, so first, the file name. And this is going to be the file name. And then I need to have the file X. Okay, like this. So I'm going to add this in here and like this. Okay. So let's see. I just want to make sure that this method does what I think it does. So if I add this and I ask what does the, and I'm just validating. Maybe it's obvious because of the name, but we know that the AIs can hallucinate and can start doing things that doesn't really exist. So I just want to cross-validate what it's telling me from what I get to ask, asking for more information in other places. So for example, this was auto-generated with tab, but for example, if I move to Cloud 3.5 Sonnet and I ask what does the get, so first does the, and I'm going to copy this. Files method exists in Laravel PHP, and also, and what does it do, like this. So it's searching, and the way that you phrase your questions to the AIs, it's really important, because if I just ask what does this method do, well, we are assuming that the method exists. So if I first ask what does it, if the method exists, well, we start from a different starting point. We are first asking if this method exists. Okay? So yes, it's telling me that it does exists, and it is a method available on the upload file class, which is used when handling file uploads in Laravel. This method returns the original file extension of the uploaded file. Okay. Okay, so it's getting the extension. Okay. Okay, so let's see if I can add some validation in a moment, but for the moment it is working, or at least it looks like it's going to work. So I have the slug as part of as the name, and then we are going to add the time and then the file extension. So I think we have it. Now I'm going to assign this path as the thumbnail. So I just want to validate this method, this model. The model is article, so yes, it's thumbnail. So also we can add the open the database table, and it says thumbnail. Okay, so if I save this and I resend the form, okay, it's telling me that the article was created successfully. So now, if I look at the database and we describe the articles, and I select ID, slug, and thumbnail from articles, let's see what it gives me. Okay, so look like the first, well, two of the articles that I made doesn't have a thumbnail. Okay, so now it's telling me that the thumbnail for this article, it's in this place, and this I need to combine this with the Amazon AWS URL from my bucket, S3 bucket, to be able to get the image. Okay. And what else? What else can we look at this? Okay, so what happens if I don't upload a thumbnail? So for example, if I create an article that doesn't have a thumbnail, so it's going to be my article 3, body 3, and we're not going to add a thumbnail just to see if there's no problem. Okay, so the article was created. Now it needs created with a null thumbnail. So this is working. Okay. So now let's see if I can do. Okay, so because if I go to, okay, so if I select is published in here, you can see that these articles are not published. So if I go to my blog, we are not going to see that article in here. So for example, the blog that has an article, the article that has a thumbnail, it's the article with ID 13, and it's the one called my article 2. So if I go to the articles and I edit my article 2, I'm going to publish this and I'm going to save it. Let's see what happens. Okay, so it's saved, and now let's see what it's showing me in here. So we still have the thumbnail. Yes. And if I go to okay, I know how we're going to work on this. But if I go to the blog articles, sorry, in here, blog, you're going to see that my article 2, it looks like it doesn't have a thumbnail. So the thumbnail, if I open it like this, the thumbnail, it's telling me that it's in sources, in thumbnail, sorry, with this name. But in no place in here we are telling that the thumbnail, it's really in S3, in AWS S3. Okay, so if I go to my code and I look for where the thumbnail is being added, so in here, if I look for thumbnail, and if I go to admin controller, modify article thumbnail, article factory. Okay, so in here we are adding this thumbnail in here. So I need to add in here that this article, sorry, that the thumbnail, it's really in AWS 3, AWS S3. So the URL, it's going to be so I have it in here, and you can get it when you upload a file. You can see it in here, like this is the URL for your bucket. Okay, so agentstower.s3.us east 1 and Amazon AWS.com. Right. So now, if I go to if I reload this, well, I can save this, and I could add this to an environment variable and complicate it more, but it's not really needed because I can just modify this later on where I'm using Amazon AWS. Maybe I could change it because, for example, if I'm using the thumbnail, this and if I'm using the S3, AWS S3 in different places, and I'm showing the image in different places or different images in different places, I could just modify this with an environment variable. But let's, I'm going to make a note just to do it in a moment. So change AWS S3 URL from view to env. Okay, so I'm just going to move this just so I don't forget. So now if I save this and I go to my articles page, you can see that I have the preview image in here. And well, maybe I could add something like recommended dimensions or something for the images. So for example, if I go to, if I go to admin controller and I go, so for example, I can add something in here like recommended dimensions. So I could add, for example, recommended size. So it could be, I think the article card has something like this. So no, it's not asking for a specific ratio, width or height. So I'm just going to say something like ask for example, asking here to Cursor, what's the recommended size? I don't know, ratio in HD pixels, or for example for a YouTube video. So let's see, what does it tell me? So for this type of questions that are really easy, I don't like to use Claude because it takes longer than what I would expect. I like to use GPT-4o because it's faster. But well, it already answered. I'm just going to change it for the people to not, because it was faster. So that's why I like to use it for this type of questions that are really lengthy. So we're going to maintain this, the recommended size 1280 times 720. So in the admin controller, if I go to, where is it? So edit elements, input file. I'm going to add something like to make it dynamic. So something in here like a small tag, like this, but I want it to be text rate, like text small. Let's see what does it do. So now if I go to create an article, it's telling me that recommended size is 1280 times 720. So yes, now I go to here, I can add that this is pixels. Maybe it's obvious, but I like to be, doesn't look really good, so I'm just going to, we are going to leave it like this. So I have it in here. Okay. So what else can we do in here? Hmm, So for example, now we can add thumbnails to the um, when we are creating an article. But what happens, for example, if I want to edit an article? So this article is my article 2. What happens if I want to edit the article? In here, since I go to the post edit article, in here I'm not managing the upload of a file, so I need to add it in here as well. So I don't want to add it in several places. So let's see if there's a better way to do it. Like just define it once, and every time that there's a request to create or edit an article, this method or these options are going to run. Okay? So let's start with it. So okay. So if I go to this is what I added. Okay, so this is the most important thing in here. But if I go, I think that I can work on this. If I go to the request types, and I go to modify article request, I can ask it if I can do it in here. I think so. I'm going to just ask. So, is there a way to manage a file upload, an image file upload using a form in this file? Let's see if I can use it in this method, or in other method. So yes, you can manage an image file. Okay. Okay, so I have this. This rule specifies that a thumbnail field is optional. Yes, must be an image and can only be one of the specified members. Additionally, the file size must not exceed 248 kilobytes. To handle the image upload, you need to ensure that your form in the front end is set up to allow file uploads. Here are the steps to manage the file upload. Okay, so this is the form, color handling. Okay, but this is not what I want to do. But I want to manage the file upload in the. We can add. This is something that I like of Cursor, that I can add the name of the file exactly in the context, exactly what I want when I want to use it. So for example, I'm going to add the name of this file in here to make sure that it's understanding the question, the prompt. So I'm going to add modify article request file, not in a controller. Is it? How can I can ask if it's possible, and maybe it's going to give me. It can tell me that yes. It can also tell me that no, but maybe it can hallucinate a way to do it, and I don't want it just to hallucinate. I want the AI to tell me if it's like a good design paradigm to do it in this way. So for example, I'm going to ask it in that way. So for example, is it a good design paradigm to do it in this request file? And I'm going to ask it so that it can understand me better. I'm going to tell it something like I'm going to say I'm asking because I'm I need to handle the uploads of the file uploads in different web routes. So I'm going to let's see. So let's see. In Laravel, the form request class, such as this one, is primarily intended for validation and authorization logic. Handling file uploads directly within a request class is not a typical design pattern in Laravel. So yes, I wanted it to tell me something like this. Like maybe it can be done, but I don't want to force it. I don't want to hack it. I don't want to go against the recommendations. So that's why I framed the question, the prompt in this way. Because yes, maybe it's possible because it's a PHP file and it can be done, but I don't want to force it. Maybe there's better ways to do it. So that's why I'm asking it in this way. So instead, it's telling me what to do instead. Let's see if it makes sense. Instead, the request class should focus on validating the income data, while the actual handling of the file, such as storing it, should be done in the controller or a service class. Okay, so it's telling me different reasons why it's not recommended. So let's see. Okay, so it's telling me that I can create a function, and yes, maybe that's the best way to do it. So for example, if you need to handle file uploads across different routes, consider creating a dedicated service class for file handling. This way, you can keep your request classes focused on validation and reuse the file handling logic wherever needed. So okay, so it's telling me to create so to create a service, but I cannot see the name of this. Let's see if it does anything. It didn't do anything. So it's still need to use a service, and that could be done. I could add a file in what can it be? So I could have in here, I think, let's see. If I go to PHP artisan, let's see. So it's not, I don't have a make a service option. So I'm not going to do it in that case. So what I can do, I can create a function like this. So for example, I can create a private, and this I can do it private so that this function it's only available in this class. I could also do something like a trait that's going to make this method available wherever I add the trait. But in this case, since it's an admin, it's a thumbnail that's going to be added just by admins and just to articles. It's not going to work for example for adding other images to a blog. That's why I'm not going to make it as a trait or as a service in another folder. I'm just going to add it in here. So if it was more like generic, like for uploading any file in any place on the website, maybe I will not do it like this. To be sure, I wouldn't do it like this. I will add a trait. But in this case, since it's just for thumbnails, I'm going to do it like this. So it's going to be called private function upload thumbnail. Okay, something like this. It's not exactly like this because of the name and those things, but I'm going to move this. So I'm going to remove this of initialized variables. So for example, in here, I'm going to say something like if path, but not if. So I think is set. Yes. So if is set path article path. Okay. So like this. And so not path. I don't want path. So I want to have thumbnail path. Yes, like this. And this is going to be here. So this is better. And I'm going to delete this. I don't need it anymore. And so if the request has a file thumbnail, I'm going to copy this. So it's copy, and we're going to generate the thumbnail path using this method in this class called upload thumbnail. And this is the file that is going to be uploaded. And this is the name that we are going to give it. So let's see if this works. So now I'm going to cut this. So I'm going to cut it like this. And now if I go in here, I'm going to paste it. So now let's see, request. Okay, so I'm going to delete this. Yes, so file. Okay, so what happened in here? Yes. So I could give it this name just as path, but I can also give it the name I'm using in the other in here, just to match them. It's not required, but just to match them, that we're speaking on the same. So I think this is okay. Maybe I could pass the request instead of the file, but let's do it in this like this. So let's see if this works. So now if I go to here, and I reload this. Let's go to articles. Let's create a new article, and it's going to be called my article 4. So this is going to be called article body 4. So article 4 body. Choose file. We're going to add the same image, and we're going to select, and we're going to publish this. So let's see if this works. Okay, so yes, the article was created successfully. If I go to the blog and I reload this, you can see that we have the article 4. Okay, and if we go to Amazon S3, you're going to see that we do have several thumbnails that were uploaded. So the last one was this one, and you can see that the name is not the same. It's not the same name because we added a time element to the name. Okay, so now if I go to the so this is working, yes. So now I can use this same method in when we edit an article. Maybe it was better to do it in here, but maybe not. Because I'm repeating my code in here. So for example, now if I go to post edit article in here, well, I'm going to need to add the same thing. So for example, if I add something like check if thumbnail is being uploaded, and then here I'm doing the same thing. So now, so for example, if I create an article that doesn't have a thumbnail, article no thumbnail, not thumbnail article, it shouldn't give me an error. So I'm going to save this. The article was created, it's in here, but it doesn't have a thumbnail. But now, for example, if I want to edit an article, I can change the name, the file, for example, if I go to I don't know, let's look for another review image. I don't know, images, and let's do, for example, that's the one that I'm using. So for example, let's use this one. So if I save image in the desktop, I want to add it as PNG. So this is going to be called review image 2, like this, and I can open the image. So it's in here, as you can see it. So now let's make some tests in here. Okay, so for example, if I go to articles and I edit the article not thumbnail and I change it to article yes thumbnail. So for example, sorry, so this is going to be no. I'm just going to publish this, and I'm going to add something that I want to do. Start to F4. Okay. So now if I go to the blog and I upload, reload this, I can see that there's no thumbnail. Yes. So I'm going to change this to just thumbnail article. Now if I can choose a file. So for example, let's choose the last one, and I'm going to save this. Okay, so there's a problem. So I selected an image that is a PNG. So okay, let's see if I can upload this one. I'm going to reload this, and no changes were made. Okay, because there was a validation error, so no changes were made. So let's see if I can add this image, and let's save it. Okay, so it's giving me, okay, got it. So if you go to the code, you can see that this is the issue. The article variable is not defined when I'm using it in here. So Okay. Yes. So first I need to get the article, and we already have the blog. So articles log, sorry, the slug, and then update article. Okay. And now, if I reload this and confirm the from submission, okay. So I think it went through. Let's reload this image. This is going to change from article not thumbnail to the title article yes thumbnail, and not thumbnail article is going to change to yes thumbnail article, and then we are going to modify the um, the image in here. It's going to appear. So if I reload this, okay, so yes, it changed the image that it's being uploaded. So now let's see if I can modify this thumbnail to this image. So I think it's detecting that this is a WP a WebP image, and it's not allowing it to go through. So let's see if I can change this. So PNG, we are going to allow extensions. This one, this one, okay. And also I'm going to also change that here. I don't want GIF and SVG, but I want WebP. Okay, so let's see if it allows me to change the preview image. So I'm going to change the name to the title to true. I'm going to add a 2, and let's save. Okay, so I supposedly the file was updated, and as you can see, there is the new file. So what do you think? Do you like it or not? I mean, these are the things that you need to go, like, maybe, I don't know if the AI can make all of these changes. Not I mean, it can do it, and for sure it's going to be able to do it in the future. But if you know how to do this type of things, you're not going to be just waiting for the AI to do it. You are going to be able to do it for yourself. And I like that better than just waiting or just be in a constant fight with the AI to make it do exactly what I want it to do. So what else? So for example, this article already has a thumbnail, but I'm not showing it in here. So a user could think that this article doesn't have a thumbnail. So let's see if I can add the thumbnail in here, just so the user has a preview of the thumbnail and doesn't think that it doesn't have a thumbnail. Okay, so let's go in here. So how can I do this? So for example, okay, so I'm going to save all of these changes. All of the changes were from the same thing. So I'm just going to change all of this, commit all of the changes in the same commit. So it is upload thumbnail to S3, something like this. Save and sync the changes. Okay. So now, okay, I just want to ask something to be. So let's see, how can I open this? Second tab, Control V. Okay. I don't know why it's giving me these problems. So it should work, but okay. So I'm going to ask what methods this. And I'm going to ask. I don't know why it's changing my um, keyboard shortcuts. So let's create a new chat. Let's add this context. So I want to add the context. So I don't know why it's not allowing me. Okay, so there you go. So now I want to ask what are the methods that I can use in here. What are the methods pre-config like available, let's say, in this class? Okay, let's ask like this. Let's see what does it give me. Okay, this method determines if the user is authorized to make a request. Okay, so maybe I should change this from true to getting the user and returning if the user is authorized or not. Okay, so the user is authorized to make this request. So yes, right now this is from the request standpoint, but we already have a validation, a middleware that it's in resources views. We already have sorry, not views. Sorry. It's in roots, web roots. We already have a middleware that it's checking if the user is authorized to make this request. Okay, and okay, so it's not telling me anything else. I would like to do it in here. Maybe I could, but we're not going to hack it like that right now. So now let's see. I want to add the preview that I was telling you in here when we are editing an article. So so I can add it as, so for example, if I go to the edit elements and I have the input file in here, I can add a validation in here. So I can add something like is set something, not exactly this, but so for example, if instead of value, so okay, so the value is like this, but in the input file okay, so this is giving me an error. So for example, let's see, if I remove this, it is usually giving me an error if I have in here the article thumbnail. So if I reload this, it's giving me an error. So the error is that I cannot give a value to an HTML input element of that I think that it's a text. How do you say? Wait, did the music stop? So let's add some new music. So let's add minimal house. So So yes, it's giving me an error because this is expecting a file name, not a file name, but yes, it's expecting a file that it's being added by the user, not just an input string. So we need to change this. So for example, it does make sense in when you are using, for example, create an article. For example, if I go to articles, create, and for example, if I give an, I don't know, let's generate an error in here. So for example, if I go to get create article and I don't make this one required, so we reload this, and then I don't add an article, so modify, I don't know, article body, my article body, for example, and I'm going to choose a file, this one, and select. So if I save this, it's going to give me an error because the title, that the article title is required. So let's see, my article title. Let's see, because it's not. Okay, so it needs to be selected. Oh, that's interesting. So this wasn't selected. So let's see. Okay, so that's interesting. So for example, let's see if I create a new article again. Um, no title article, and I select a file. Let's see where is this being added. Let's see if I can. Okay, interesting. So there's nothing in here that it's telling this that I have selected this file. You see it? There's nothing in here. So why is the music stopping? Okay. So if I, let's see if I can ask in here, what happens if I article thumbnail? Okay. So let's go to an article that has a preview image, for example, my article 4, and I edit this. It's giving me this error. So I'm going to ask this. So I'm going to copy this, and I'm going to go to Cursor, and I'm going to ask it. So let's select it in here, and then Control Shift L, and I'm going to ask. I'm getting this error. I can also add in here this. It's going to be added, so it's going to have more context. So let's see. Okay, file input elements, the one that has input type file, cannot have their value set programmatically to anything other than an empty string for security reasons. Interesting. So it's a way to avoid other users, for example, I don't know, hackers, saying it in a way to avoid them to not allow them to automatically add files from your computer to a form. It's interesting. This is because allowing scripts to set the value of a file input could lead to security vulnerabilities, such as automatically uploading files from a user's computer without their consent. Okay. Okay, but I'm going to ask, but how can I um, manage manage but how can I um, maintain the old value of a file that a user tried to upload when there's an error in the form? Let's see if you can give me something. Okay, so it's telling me that it's not possible directly through HTML form because of security restrictions. However, you can handle this scenario by using a combination of server-side logic and client-side messaging to inform the user about the file they previously selected. Okay. So it's only to have a server-side um, script or logic to work this issue. So let's see if it makes sense for me to implement it. Inform the user about the file they previously selected. You can display a message. Okay. And you need to prompt the user to reselect the file. Since you can pre-fill the file input, you can prompt the user to reselect the file if they want to keep it as part of their submission. Here's an example of how you might. Okay, so I'm not going to do the temporary server logic, but let's see. Okay. How can I do this? Let's see. Session. Okay, so success error. Okay. Got it. So how can I do it? So this doesn't make sense in here, so I'm just going to remove it. Okay. And in here, I cannot do this, so I'm going to remove it as well. And I also need to remove it in here like this. So it should allow me to reload. Okay. So what can we do? Okay. So first, let's show the thumbnail in here. So I'm going to do something like input file, something like current file, and I'm going to add this article thumbnail. So now in here, if I have something like current file, I can add it like this. So now if I reload this, it's going to give me the current file, but I don't want it as text. I want it to show the image. So in this case, it's an image. I can So for example, we can have current file, but for example, if we change it from current file to current image, because we can have other files, so for example, a PDF or something like that, it's not going to work in the same way. So I'm going to change this from current file to current image. And as you can see, it detected that I want to show the image. So if I save this, this is I'm previewing that image, but that is not exactly how I want it. So how can I so I'm going to delete this. It's an information that I really don't need, and I'm going to just manage the width. So it's going to be width maximum max W of, I don't know, it can be 200 pixels. Let's see. So it's, as you can see, we have the image in here. So I'm going to add in here something like I can add something like instead of choose file or leaving it in blank, I could add something like you can replace it by uploading a new one. Okay, something like this. And what else can I do? I can add more information, like for example, make this like like smaller, sorry, not little, smaller. So okay, so it is understand. So now I can change the image. So for example, if I go to this and I choose a different file, right now it has this preview, but I select this one and my article new thumbnail, and I change this to my article new thumbnail. And so for example, if I go to blog and I reload this is the one that has this image. So now if I save this and as you can see, now I have the image in here, the new one. And if I reload this is the new blog that we have with this new image. So as you can see, now we can update thumbnails. But for example, maybe it's not the best way to do it like this. I mean, we could for example, I could do something like so I could add something in, where is it? Where's the code? Okay, in here. So for example, maybe I could move this to the left, to the right side of the thumbnail, just so that it's not in the line of sight going to the bottom. So for example, I could do something like, let's see if I can do this. Okay, so I'm going to do this with a class as of W full, something like min W. Let's see if this, so I can do something like flex row. Let's see if this works. So it's not working. No, I don't like this. So because what happens when I have a really long article? No, it doesn't make any sense. So now, so let's see. Okay. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to remove this, but I'm going to add in here a div like this, and I'm going to close it in here. No, I'm going to close it in here. No, that's it. I'm going to close it in here like this. So now I can have this like this, make it to the left, to the right side, and now I can add. So now if I save this, you can see that this is the preview image, and we have this to the right side of it, but I don't like how it looks because it looks strange. So now I want to make it this look better. So for example, I can add another div in here, and it's going to have this, and if this is going to have a class like this. So let's see so this is not exactly what I wanted. Oh, okay, so it's because of this. Yes. So how can I do this? What's the best way to do it? I can add another if in here, like if inside of this div, but I want to have a more elegant solution. So how can I do it? So I can remove this, and you can see how it is now I just have it in here. So I can have something like items center. So now the item is going to be in here, center, and I can add something like so for example, something like class maybe W full. So it's not accepted. So maybe I don't know if I don't think this is going to work, but I wanted to try. So okay, so the issue is this. Yes. So the issue is not this. So this is going to be W full. So now, okay, yes. So now. So now I have this like this. I have it next to it, next to a thumbnail. Okay. Okay, so I mean, it works. I could also make it like if you click on the image to select this option. So it could be something like label. So for example, I could have something like this, and maybe have this inside this. So now if someone clicks in here, it's also making it to change the image. So I like it better. So now I can make more changes in here. So for example, this is flexible, so I can remove. How can I do it? So now maybe I cannot, instead of doing it like this, I could add something like, I could add something in here. Maybe it's not the best way to do it, but something like this another label. And I don't think this is going to give me an error. So yes, not like this. So inside this is set, so I can add another label. And close label in here. So I don't think this is going to give me an error. Oh, sorry, not this, not in here. So I can close this, I can copy this, I can paste it in here, and I can remove this. So now I can make click in here, and it's also going to change it, as you can see it. So I like it better, and it shouldn't give me any error. Yes. So I like it this way more. Okay. So now we have fields that are required, but there's no indication in here that this is a required field and this is not a required field. So let's see. Also, there's another issue with this, that when there's no, when an article doesn't have a thumbnail, it's giving me an error, and I don't like that. So how about if we add a validation in the view? So I'm going to save this. I'm going to call this the thumbnail update thumbnail, something like this. Okay, so now, for example, if I go to the view, article view, to the blog view, so it's the index of articles. In here, I'm using article card. It's a component, article card. And in here, I'm adding the thumbnail. So in here, I can add something like if article thumbnail add this. If not, don't add anything. So if I save this, okay. So these ones are giving me an error because these articles had a thumbnail in the when they were created, but these thumbnails are not available in Amazon AWS S3 because they were created, and it's actually a link to an external image. So I'm going to delete all of the thumbnails of these images, of these articles. So I'm going to do update articles, set where ID in where ID is less or equal to 10. So set thumbnail equals null. So this is giving me, so I don't know if I can, let's see if I can do it like this. No, article set okay. Oh, sorry. So it's because I wrote update but wrong. Update. So now this article doesn't have a thumbnail. So now if I reload this, it is not giving me an error in there. So as you can see, if an article card it's in a row where there are other article cards with a thumbnail, the article title is going all the way up. But if there's no article thumbnail in one in a row, it's not adding this space. I mean, we can add a required statement for the thumbnail, but I'm going to leave it like this to, I don't know, to not add additional restrictions to the users of the platform. Maybe I could add something like a placeholder. So something like else, I don't know, something like this. I don't like it. What can I do? I really don't like it. So maybe I can do, I mean, this is not going to look good, but let's see what it does. Okay, so we could add maybe a placeholder image, like a transparent placeholder image. The thing is that we are already using empty auto in here. So let's see what happens if I add empty auto in here. So it's not happening, nothing is happening. So yes. So that if this is really a concern for me, I will make the thumbnail a required parameter. So if I go in here, I can go to the admin controller, and when in the input file field, I can add something like required true. So now a user will need to add a thumbnail for each and every article. So I'm also going to add that in here. So it's going to be required true. I can move this in here to be more to have more order. So now if someone tries to add an article, to create an article, with my thumbnail body. So if I do something like this and I save, it's asking me for a thumbnail. And if I add it, it's going to allow me to continue. Now I'm going to change the request, modify article request, and this is not a nullable element, it is now a required element. So if we create a new article, so for example, if I edit this and I choose a file, so for example, if I try to save this, it's going to tell me that I need a... Oh, so this is going to be an issue, because if the article already has a thumbnail, it is still going to ask for a thumbnail, and I don't want that. So we are going to just leave the requirement in the front end, and I'm not going to require it when there's an edit. So I can make something like, for example, if the article already has a thumbnail, don't make it required. But if I already require it at the beginning, well, it's going to have a thumbnail in here. So I'm just going to make it like this. So now if I reload this and I try to save it as article 10 without a new article thumbnail, it's going to allow me to do it. Now if I go here, this is the new article. Yes. And now all of the articles are going to require a thumbnail when they are being created. Yes. So now okay. So now let's add an indication in here that this is a required field. So how can we do this? We are going to go to... So first I'm going to commit these changes. Thumbnails are required when creating the article. Okay, so now if I go to app.css, where I have my styles, I can add something like something, for example, like when a field is required, add a required star. So let's see if I can do it like this without adding additional fields or logic in here. So let's see, button, data tooltip, components. Okay, so I'm going to add it in here. So I'm going to add what's the way to... Okay, so this is how you add comments in CSS. So let's add something like form styles, something like this. So for example, I want to add a style, add a red star when a form field is required. Let's see if we can do it. So I'm going to add this as context. So let's see if we can do it. Okay, yes, require. Exactly, that is exactly what I wanted to do. So now in here, oh, okay, no. So that is not exactly how I want to do it. So now this is not going to do anything in the front end. So if we go to articles, create, it's not going to do anything. It's not adding anything. So I don't want to add additional classes, you can you use the required um, I don't know, attribute in the HTML. So what's happening here? The required attribute, it's in the input. So it's in this one. It's um, in this, how do you say it, field. But I need to add it to the label. So maybe it's not going to be feasible to do it, but let's ask. Require attribute in the HTML tag. Let's see. Okay. So, okay, you can use classically the input fields that have the required attribute and then use the adjacent sibling selector to style the label. So that's cool. Let's see if that actually works. So it wasn't added. So I'm just going to copy this. Let's see. And see if I can paste it. Yes. So I'm going to copy it like this. So that's cool. Let's see if this works. Okay, so it's not working. Let's see if I can create it. Okay, so what's going on in here? The thing is that yes, so the plus label after selector targets the label immediately following the required input field and adds a red asterisk after the label. So yes, so this is getting an error because this is wrong, because the label should be next to the input. So CSS doesn't know what's before the elements, or cannot detect it, or cannot add any styles. It needs to, it always works to like with as we read the text. So the label needs to be after the input. So for example, let's see if I can exemplify this. So I'm going to move the label after the input. So now if I save it, it is not doing anything. So nope, this is not working. Yes, this is not working. So yes, I'm going to need to add it in here. So for example, so if I add something like something like this. So for example, required, let's see. Oh, okay, so maybe it does work. But since I removed this, that is why it's not working. So get edit article and require true. So now let's reload this. Okay, so now it's adding it in here. Let's see if I can make it work when I add the label after the. So if I copy this and paste it in here. So that's cool. Yeah, so it's adding the star after the, if the label it's after the input. But I don't like how this looks like. I want to read first the label and then have the input. So it doesn't really work for me. So I'm going to, so I can do something like how I had it before, something like that required after. So now if I go in here and I do this, and I do something like class require, but if no, so something like is set, something like this, and now I have this in here. So this can be 125, and it's going to be a little bit closer. So why it's not closer? So let's see. Okay. Yes. So yes. So since it has space, I'm going to delete this. So now if I save this, it's going to be a little bit closer. Yes, like this. Okay, so now I need to, the issue with this method is that I need to add this required element to all of these. Other input areas, input fields, sorry. So checkbox link. That's all, that's everything. So now the thumbnail is required, the author is required, the article body is required, and the title. And if I go to edit an article, these are required, but the thumbnail is not required. Because supposedly now all of the articles have a thumbnail. So that's why it's not required to have a new one. Okay, so now, what else? Okay. So now I just want to make a change, a quick change. For example, if I search for here agents tower.s3, as you can see, I now have this URL in places. Yes. So I'm going to change this to have it as a .env variable and just add it in here. So for example, I'm going to move this from the screen because I'm going to open my .env file. So I'm going to add something like, how can I, so just a moment, file systems. So endpoint, okay, AWS URL. Okay, so I'm going to make my own env URL. So I'm going to call it AWS dash, like lower dash, and I'm going to call it front end URL, and it's going to be this URL that I have in here. So if I go to here, and I'm going to have it with double quotes to make sure that it gets everything. So now I can go to the config, because I cannot just I can't just add it in here, like for example like something like this, because sorry, I'm not going to do it in here, because if I do it, it doesn't allow it, because you are adding an environment variable to the front end, and it tells you that it's not something that can be done for security reasons. So for example, if I go to articles, if I go in here, you're going to see that I need to work on this. Okay. Oh, okay, so it's working. So let's see. Oh, okay, so it's working. I thought it wasn't going to. Yes. Interesting. So if I go to edit elements and I try to edit, it's also should add it's adding it. So it does work. I thought it was going to be more difficult. So for example, if I go to so it's config, it should be something config, and I think I don't want to show something that will be return time zone. Oh. So this is, yeah, that's strange. So for example, if I go in here and I look for these, and I go to say, look how I need to do this when I was working with Google Analytics in the front end, and I needed to add config services.ganalytics. So that's why I thought that it was impossible, but I'm going to do it like this. So if I go to, I'm going to copy this, and now if I go to the config file that it's in here, it's services. I'm going to add a service that is going to be called AWS frontend URL, like this. So for example, if I'm going to close this, and if I go to admin controller, article card, I'm going to change this to be config, like this. So now this is going to give me an error. It's not going to show the article images, as you can see, because I haven't defined this in config. So now if I go to config services, I'm going to add it in here as AWS front end URL. Now this should work. So let's reload this, and I'm adding it in here. And now I'm going to change that in here as well. So this is now going to be config services as AWS front end URL. So now I have the preview image in here as well. So that is, so that's going to be everything for today. That is all for today. I need to go. I need to do some things. But thank you very much for being here. If you want to see something that I haven't touched already, please let me know. Send me a message or leave me a comment or get in touch in any way. And thank you for being here. And I'm going to see you later.